All right, I want to welcome everyone to this week's meeting of the Clyde Sukeforth chapter of SABR. I am Bruce McClure, the chapter chair, and we always hold our meetings in conjunction with the Gardner Waterman chapter of SABR in Vermont, Dr. Clayton Truder, chair. Now, tonight we were scheduled to have Alan Holst with us. He is actually here in the room this evening. Alan has had some technical difficulties, and so have I, with Zoom and screen sharing this tonight. So we are going to be rescheduling Alan in the coming days and weeks to get his presentation out there for all of us. And we want to apologize for that. A lot of it, I think, has to do with the host. Blame me. But we're going to work it out and get Alan back in to give us his presentation. He's here with us tonight because he's going to hang out with us for a little while just to see what in the world he is getting into with this group. So what I want to do, I want to start off, I'm going to turn it over to you guys out there, and I want to start off with what is going on in your baseball worlds. Do you have any research, any interests, anything that you are working on or want to work on? You can just raise your hand by clicking the react button at the bottom of the screen and then click raise hand to get into discuss that. Is anybody here working on any research that they would like to discuss or tease in the near future right now? Because if not, I'm going to call somebody out. I'm going to get some help from you guys. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. The one I was going to nail just put her hand up. Thank God. Donna Muscarella.
So I knew it was coming. So I said, you know what? Let me just be preemptive. Let me be preemptive and let me just do this. So I've been very fortunate to forge a relationship with the Youth Museum at Hinchliffe Stadium. And I'm doing a presentation for them on Monday to a non-baseball crowd about the history of Hinchliffe Stadium, which is going to be kind of cool. But they tapped me to do a presentation for them for Women's History Month in March. It's wide open. It has to be something Negro Leagues related. So I'm trying to find my lane and decide exactly what I'm going to do. It certainly is going to weigh heavily on Effa Manley because she's got a tie directly to that ballpark. But I want to figure out how to have it not just be a historical account of Effa Manley and her contributions to the game, as well as to the civil rights movement, and really workers' rights. And if you think about in the context of Jackie Robinson's contract was just taken and Larry Doby's was purchased. But I want to figure out how to take that and tie it to today and modernize it in the context of women in the game today, I think. So I haven't really dug into it yet, but it's just kind of percolating. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
You've got a couple of really good in-person things going on there. It's some really great venues that you announced.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that can you discuss that with us for a few minutes here? I know we're up in Northern New England. I got people all around the country here, and I'm sure that there'd be some that would want to maybe drive in to see some of this. So
I would love to have people from all over. So the first event in person that we have coming up, and keep in mind, there's some really great virtuals that we have lined up as well. Some of them with the East Coast Co-op, some standalone, even though no virtual is a standalone, right? Everybody's always welcome.
That's right.
But the in-persons on January 25th, I think. Let me just check my dates here because I would hate to say the wrong thing. Yep, Saturday, January 25th. The director of the Youth Museum approached me and said that she wanted to try and do a baseball card show at the museum. Really unique venue, give people an opportunity to see the museum as well as attend what we're hoping is going to be an old school baseball card show. Not a ton of, not that there's anything wrong with the current flashy stuff, and there will be some of that there, but we want a nice mix. But she said, hey, we're a museum. There needs to be an educational component to this. So the day's going to start off with a presentation by Ralph Carhart. Some of you may know him as the author of The Hall Ball. He's going to do a presentation on hold on a sec, I'll tell you exactly. I was not planning to
blame me, Don. I put you on the spot.
It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. Let me just find the photo, because it's funny. While I was not long after Ralph confirmed to me what he was going to do as the topic of his presentation, I happened to be at a card show and saw the 1945-46 Caramello Deportivo cards. And there's a number of Negro Leaguers in that set. And not long after Ralph told me that that was probably going to be the theme of his presentation, I happened to be at a card show and saw two of them in person for the first time, which was very cool. And Ray Dandridge was one of them, and he's got ties to New Jersey and to Hinchliffe Stadium, so that was very cool. Minnie Mignoso was the other one that I got to see. So the day's going to start off with that presentation, a little bit of time for socializing, and then there's going to be a card show from 10 to 3. So that's the first event. It'll be a joint effort between the Youth Museum and SABR. And we'll have some SABR people floating the floor and kind of selling the organization, if you will. And I'm going to be set up there as well, selling my mixed media artwork, which will be kind of cool. So that's that day. Then on February 5th, is that right? Hold on. No, it's February 8th.
Yeah.
February 8th. This is, yeah, February 8th. This is the one that just, we just got the last piece a couple of days ago. We're going to do in-person celebration of SABR Day again at the Youth Museum. And the reason we decided to do it on February 8th is to give people the opportunity to travel the country virtually on February 1st, as I've enjoyed doing for the last couple of years. So on February 8th, we'll be back at the Youth Museum starting at noon. We're going to start with a social hour. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to do a screening of Pride Against Prejudice, the Larry Doby story. That's an hour-and-a-half documentary. And then following that documentary, there will be a panel discussion led by Dave Kaplan, journalist, author, former director of the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center, founding director of the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center. He's currently teaching journalism at Montclair State University and is still writing. So he's going to be the moderator for the panel. And our panelists are going to be Joe Moore, who wrote Pride Against Prejudice, the Larry Doby biography, Luke Eplin, who wrote Our Town, and legendary baseball journalist Claire Smith, all in person at the Youth Museum for that event, which I am over the moon excited about. Then the following month, on Sunday, March 25th, we're doing an event that we're calling Celebrate Baseball at the Yogi Berra Museum and Learning Center. We've got the museum, not exclusive use because we want other people to come in. We've got the museum for the day from noon to 5. We're going to again start with a social hour from 12 to 1. And then there's going to be 3 presentations with time in between to take a break and socialize. Dan Sichalski is going to do his presentation on Bruce Springsteen's use of the term speedball in Glory Days. There's a really nice name for his presentation, but you get the idea. Then Tara Krieger, SABR board member, is going to be doing a presentation. I'm waiting for her title, so I don't want to tease that just yet, just in case something changes. And then our final presentation will be by Dr. Paul Semendinger, friend of this chapter and my vice chair. He's going to do a presentation and discussion revolving around his book called The Least Among Them. And it's all about people who played for the Yankees for exactly one game. I've seen a shorter version of that presentation. That's actually the first time I met Paul, and it's really interesting and a lot of fun, very energetic. And then there'll be time after that for some more socializing, and hopefully we can get some new SABR members and put some faces to some names, and it's going to be great.
Dr. Paul was one of our first presenters way back when we got this started, and he is fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing him. I plan on zipping down there to see both of those programs in February and March. I cannot wait. Ralph Carhart edited the book Not an Easy Tale to Tell, Jackie Robinson on Page, Stage, and Screen. And as a SABR member, you can download an ebook copy of that tome for free from the online bookstore. So that's available to you anytime. Go ahead, Donna.
So we've got one more event in the works. Date not confirmed yet, but it has been announced within the 2 New Jersey chapters, and I'm hoping that word went out to the Casey Stengel chapter as well. We're going to have a day at TD Bank Ballpark in Bridgewater, New Jersey, which is the home of the Somerset Patriots, the Yankees AA affiliate. And the day is going to consist of, in pre-ballpark hours, we're going to get a tour of the ballpark. And then there's going to be a presentation by Patriots staff about kind of the behind the scenes from conception to implementation of their alternate identities, including the Black Yankees. They do a tribute to every year. They started that 2 seasons ago. The award-winning Jersey Diners, the Zorros, which is their Copa de Diversión team, and some of the other stuff that they do there at the ballpark. That's really a lot of fun. And then that'll take us up to gates opening, and then we've got a pregame barbecue, and then we're going to take in the game. So that's open to anybody. We're considering 3 dates. It's May 31st is the middle one. June 14th is the last one. Let me take a look. It's May 17th, May 31st, June 14th. So if anybody is interested in visiting and participating, just shoot me an email. Let me know. If you have a date preference among any of those dates, let me know. Let me know how many tickets you'd be interested in. And then once we have whatever the most popular of those 3 dates is, I'm going to lock that in with the Patriots. And then we're going to start taking reservations, cash payments. So you can, my information is in the SABR directory. If you want to have any questions, you can call me, or we can do it by email, however you prefer, but all are welcome. And, bring a friend, bring family, whatever. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And if you go to that January 25th card show, you might get the chance to meet Mark Hoyle too.
Really?
And that is worth the price of admission right there. Mark is saying he's hopefully going to be down there for that. So,
dude, that's like so hugely amazing. You just made my night. Not that I don't love you all, but that is freaking awesome. Mark and I have met in person numerous times, and it's always a great time.
I may just have to get down there for that.
You got to go, Bruce.
Right? Jeez.
The setting alone is awesome. I mean, the museum overlooks on one side, it overlooks Hinchliffe Stadium, which has wonderful history. And on the other side overlooks the Patterson Great Falls, which is the 2nd largest waterfall east of the Mississippi. So it's kind of really cool.
And, if you play your cards right, Donna might get somebody to put your visage in the distance using laser drones like they did for Raleigh Fingers there behind her. That's pretty darn cool.
That whole drone show was just so awesome. It just morphed into so many different things. It's amazing what they can do now.
Isn't it though?
It really is.
Hey, let's talk to my friend Dixie Tarango for a few minutes. Dixie, what's on your plate, man?
Well, obviously, the first thing is that Donna's got to quit sitting around twiddling her thumbs and do something.
Right. I mean, really.
Anyway, I'm getting ready to, well, I'm not getting ready. I'm still fixing up my talk for this coming Saturday at the Southern Rhode Island chapter meeting. I see the only face on the screen here that'll be there is Mark Cantor, my friend. Mark, I've got a good show for you coming Saturday. I am going to tell you how I am rewriting a little tiny piece of baseball history. Just a little bit of it, but it needs to be rewritten because we have taken something for gospel for 70 years and it is blasphemy. It is not gospel.
Now, do you want to give us any preview on this, or are you just going to let that tease sit out there and let people?
I will let the tease sit. Maybe you'll invite me back to talk about it after I do it officially on Saturday.
You know what? You and I need to talk about scheduling a date for you to do this for our chapter as well. I think that'd be fantastic.
Fine with me.
Where's it going to be? Where's it going to be Saturday?
Yeah, where's you? Where going to be?
Greenville, Rhode Island, St. Philip's Church Auditorium, where it has been for most of the time in the last 35, 40 years. We did not go the last 2 years there, but now we're back again this time. But it is in Greenville, Rhode Island, and it is the St. Philip's Church Auditorium.
And what time?
It's the whole meeting starts at 11, goes till 4. And the guy who wrote the book about Dewey Evans is the main guest speaker. I'm just an aside piece.
Well, I thought you were the main guest speaker, and he was just the warm-up act.
No. I'm the warm-up act.
Well, okay, all right. Well, that is the fall-winter meeting of the Rhode Island chapter. They meet in person a couple, 3 times a year. So, if you're
the Len Levin, Father Gerald Byrne chapter.
If you are in the area, head on down there and see some really great presentations and some fantastic SABR members like the one we got here tonight, Dixie, right?
Good hot dogs, donuts, all kinds of good stuff.
Ooh, and food. Not bad. Hey, somebody who is motivated by food is up next, and that would be Ryan McClanahan. Oh, wait, was I supposed to say that, Ryan? I'm sorry.
I am very much motivated by food.
Oh, see, absolutely. I knew you. I knew. What do you got, man? What's on your plate?
So I'm just curious. Has anybody written any articles on lawyers in baseball?
Give me a little bit more? What are you looking for in general, more specific, I should say?
So I know there's a lot of lawyers in baseball, and I'm just really curious to know if first off, like why there's a lot of doctors in baseball and there's a lot of lawyers, and I'm just really curious why those two groups of professions kind of like go into baseball. If nobody has written any articles on it, I might want to do that.
John Racanelli might be a good source for you on that,
there you
Brian.
Go. Okay. And then on top of that, there's a lady named Joan Crosby. She was with Art Flynn Associates back in the early 50s. And I was reading a legal document where she testified on the Topps Bowman contract wars. And she's actually seems to be really important to getting a lot of these ball players signed under Bowman. But I wanted to write an article on her. The only problem is I can't find anything. I have a photo. That's pretty much it. And I'm just curious if anybody could help me out with that too.
I would suggest Jason Schwartz, I think, would be the first guy I would suggest, right, Donna?
Yes, definitely. Jason on the baseball card front for sure. Nick Vosbrink would also be a really good resource. They co-chair the SABR Baseball Cards Research Committee.
Yep.
Both
Okay,
really good
awesome.
guys and always willing to help. Anytime I've reached out to them for anything, they've come back with some really good ideas and really good leads.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I would suggest the Business of Baseball Research Committee for anything legal. That is
Okay.
co-chaired by Mike Halpert and Dan Levitt. Dan is a director with the Society for American Baseball Research. And I'm thinking that that's going to be the first place for you to start. At the very least, they're going to be able to give you an idea of where to go next when it comes to anything on the legal aspect or lawyers in baseball.
Okay. Awesome.
I'm just kind of paging through the rest of the committees to see as if anything else jumps out. It really doesn't right now. I would suggest that. Let's go back to Dix. What you got, Dix?
Bill Lamb in your neck of the woods is a lawyer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Up in Meredith.
Yeah.
And we need Abe Gautinier to tilt his camera a little bit so we can actually see him.
Here we go. We're seeing Abe's hat
and
not Abe
glasses.
He's on the phone right now, so Abe's high profile. He's higher profile than me. So, anybody else have anything on their plate that they would like to share with us on what they're doing to, I don't know, keep themselves going while we're waiting for baseball to return, waiting for this storm to pass through us up here in New Hampshire? Pray for me that I don't go outside and do it to the other leg, please. Yeah. We don't need, my wife's scowling at me right now. We don't need that. All right. So as I mentioned before, Alan's technology was giving him a bit of a fit tonight. So we decided that we were going to reschedule him, and I'm having some troubles with my video keeping up as well this evening. So I don't think it's just Alan. I'm hoping that this is going to be able to be given to our YouTube channel tomorrow when it comes to recording and whatnot. But I thought I would take a little bit of time and talk a little hot stove baseball off the top while I've got the time. And who out there has been paying close attention to the hot stove and wants to comment a little bit on anything that they see that might be interesting to them or their own team? And Dixie's right up there. Dixie, go ahead.
Well, I see Greg Fegley's on the screen here.
Bet he is.
And so he can attest to everything I'm going to tell you.
Uh-oh.
We were both on the Boston chapter Zoom on Wednesday.
Yep.
We were both on the West Coast chapter Oakland, San Francisco thing 2 nights after that. It's the same thing. People are bitching and moaning about the owners of the two teams. All you have to do is change the names and you have the same conversation about the owners not spending enough money, not going after the right guys, using too many analytics. You name it, the conversation was exactly the same. And that goes for Red Sox and San Francisco Giants. Isn't that right, Greg?
Greg, to unmute yourself. Let's get you in on this one. Let's hear you, man. He's like, I don't know if I want to do this. You guys are nuts. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Great. No, he's right. I mean, the guys that are on that New York Giants Preservation Society Zoom that Dixie and I sat in on, they follow the Giants really closely, and yeah, most of them are not happy with things. But that said, they have a new, Buster Posey has taken over as the general manager for that team, so they're also optimistic and willing to wait to kind of see what happens. But I guess over the past few years, they've definitely not been happy, and they're still not happy because the Giants have announced that they want to reduce their payroll this year. So, Dixie's right. I mean, the owners don't seem to want to, put money into some of these teams that have great fan bases.
Yeah, Buster Posey is getting a pass. The owners are getting no pass.
Right. That's right.
talking about lowering payroll. What was it about? I don't know, a week, 10 days ago, I happened to be reading an article about how a certain team wanted to lower payroll. And the first thing I thought of was, well, how much worse can it get in Chicago? How do you lower payroll on a club that lost 121 games and stare your fans straight in the face and say, buy my tickets? What does the crowd say here? Because I'd really like to know from somebody what's going on in Chicago. Anybody got any ideas?
These are the same people who want a new stadium.
Right? Yeah, and they want a new stadium. Yeah, they want to get out of what they're in. And I don't understand how they can look at somebody with a straight face and say, "Yeah, we lost 121 games last year, but we're gonna lower payroll." If somebody could tell me how that makes sense, I would be thrilled. Donna's doing this, and like
I have a suggestion. I mean, you could lose that many games for less money. That's
not a bad statement right there, Dan. The thing is, well, see, you're kind of rolling the dice because you've hit the bottom of the barrel, right? I mean, the rest of the 62 Mets that are living are upset at you for losing more games. If Eddie Kranepool were alive, he'd be upset. But now you're saying, yeah, we want to lower payroll. Could they lose more next year? I'm seeing some head shaking. Yes,
Not only could they lose more, they could have fewer people show up to watch it.
I don't know how that's possible. They had one game they had fewer than 75 people in the stands.
Here's the real dangerous thing, and this kind of segues into what I wanted to talk about anyway. So
lay it on me.
It's great for me.
Yeah.
So the Rays are done in Tampa, and I think everyone knows it. And if they go to Nashville, where do the White Sox go? Who do they leverage to get stadium money? Because Nashville's going to happen. Everyone wants it to happen. Management wants it. The players want it. The Rays aren't sustainable where they are. There's no public money or resource after the storm to build something new for them. That's the area where the White Sox could run into trouble.
Dave Stewart was interested in discussing at the very least buying into the Chicago White Sox, if not buying the club outright. I've not heard of the owners of Tampa saying we're out of here yet. I thought I read something. I wish Bishop was here tonight because they would have more information for us. I thought I read somewhere over the past day or so that they're looking at now I guess the other side of the bay, and my geography knowledge of Florida is lousy, but apparently in Tampa itself for a ballpark, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
Is a team sustainable down there though? Is the problem ownership? Because the few people that I know, and I saw that you've got Tim Virgilio coming up as a guest.
Yes.
And
yep.
he's down there. And I remember right after he moved down there, he's like, hey, I'm going to go check this place out. And he was like, what they're asking for tickets is obscene. It's no wonder that nobody wants to go. And this was before the Rays kind of got good again, or got good. I don't know what the, so is a team really sustainable there? And is it worth fixing that roof? And it's almost like you've got another Oakland situation.
You do
on your hands.
You do. You've got a homeless ball club right now.
And frankly,
go ahead.
And frankly, you haven't resolved the Oakland situation either, because there's no guarantee that ballpark ever gets built in Vegas.
I don't think it ever does.
It's been over a year. There's nothing concrete yet.
It's not even a shovel in the ground yet. Joe Ross. What's going on, Joe?
I have a problem with a lot of this in the sense that what happened to my video? Oh, wait a minute. There we go. No. Bear with me. For some reason or other, the video is not working right.
We've had all sorts of technical trouble tonight with video and audio and things like that. Go ahead, Joe.
I have a problem with the whole thing. First of all, you put people in the stands by winning games. If you don't win games, fans aren't going to come because they don't want to pay good money to see a loser. And that's part of the problem. The other problem I have personally, I'm not crazy about public money supporting a multi-billionaire to build a stadium so he can make a fortune. And let's face it, every team in baseball makes money because of the media, because of the contracts that are out there, even those that overpay the players, and that's another problem, they still make money because of the TV contracts and the radio contracts and all the other stuff and $20 hot dogs and little things like that. So I'm not sure I'm in favor of public money in the stadium. You want a stadium, you want to charge, maybe build your own stadium.
Joe has mentioned this several times in several of our meetings, and I really can't argue the point, and I'm not sure anybody else can. So, yeah, he makes a very good point.
Thank you.
Stephen Meyerson. Stephen, how are you this evening?
Good evening, Bruce.
What do you got for us? What's on your plate this evening, man?
On the comment about the White Sox, I'm thinking about Houston. I'm thinking about Chicago Cubs. They went all the way down before they came up and became contenders for several years. And Houston is still a contender. So when you go all the way down, you're getting better draft choices. And you're not just continuing to pay for mediocre veterans and winning 70 games, 75 games. I'm thinking of the Astros, the Orioles, the Cubs, where they went all the way down, lowered the payroll, had a lot of minimum salary players, and now all of them are up near the top.
That's a very good point. But what I'm seeing with Chicago is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm seeing a top to bottom disaster in their organization. It's as far as I can see, it's a brain drain and a talent evaluation problem and a just a lack of attention to detail top to bottom within the organization. No one expected them to lose 121 games. Matter of fact, if I recall correctly, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was thought that the White Sox weren't going to be half bad last year in preseason. That it was thought they were going to be all right, but not, not a contender to win 115 games or what have you. And the wheels came off the cart very quickly there. They're making no moves to even try to take half a step forward. It seems like to me that the only thing on their mind right now is, how do I get out of this ballpark? Well, the first thing you've got to do is put on a competitive ball club, as far as I'm concerned. I can't see where the city is going to allow them or to even consider something until they do something about that club. But I'm an amateur. I'm an interior decorator for a reason. I don't run a ball club. But Larry, you're up. Larry, what's on your plate tonight? How you doing, brother? Unmute yourself if you would, please. Bottom left corner, you're going to unmute yourself. I apologize, folks. I should have asked him to do that. There you are. Larry, how you doing?
Okay, I'm very inexperienced.
You're fine.
I was thinking about the White Sox, and when I first started watching baseball, the Kansas City A's.
Oh, yes.
Were the finished seventh every year, just ahead of Washington. And the Yankees, of course, mined that team, picked off some really great players, and for next to nothing, some second-rate prospects primarily. So I'm wondering, who are those diamonds in the rough in Chicago right now that the Red Sox should be paying attention to? I mean, I'm a Benintendi fan. I don't know if he's still there, but
Yeah.
I do not know how to answer that question, but I was going to pivot to the Red Sox, so we're going to be talking about them in a little bit, Larry.
Yeah, but Mancada's, I guess, the only one that sort of fascinates me because he was so talented at the beginning. But
Anderson's not there anymore. He was in Florida last year, wasn't he? Do I recall that?
What I would say is,
Yeah,
this is just my 2 cents. Larry's not wrong. If you look at a lot of the trades the White Sox have made over the last year since Getz has gotten there, he has an aversion to his analytics department. And if you look at the deals afterwards, they look like 3 nickels for a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
They're trading major league pieces. And something, I forget where I saw it. It might have been a SABR study. I forget where I saw it. But basically, the point of the study was, look back at 25 years of prospect trades. And basically, the most valuable thing you can get is an average major leaguer.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know you've got the guy who can play in the major leagues, you're ahead on the prospect game because a lot of those prospects don't pan out. And I'm sure a lot of teams are looking to see what they can pick out of there.
Stephen Meyerson in the chat, the White Sox player everyone wants is Crochet, the young left-hander who had over 30 starts and a lot of strikeouts last year. He looks like he's going to be a stud moving forward. And he's spot on with that. Ryan McClanahan, unmute. You are up. What's going on, Ryan?
All right. So I just was thinking, the Baker Bowl was condemned in 1938. Philadelphia took it over, and the Phillies moved into the Athletics Shibe Park.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of had a thought here that maybe the the White Sox are probably thinking of moving into the with the Cubs there. Anything is possible, but that part of Chicago is not all that safe either. There's a lot of fans that really don't want to go there really. There'd be a concerted effort on the White Sox to tank their their season. And I think that's a possibility as well.
Alec makes a good point. The South Bronx isn't bucolic either. That was not a shot, Donna. I love you. I do. Donna's a big Yankees fan. I will tell you, winning does fix a lot of things. Dan, you got that right. I'll tell you this, Ryan. In all due respect to that idea, my friend, you have a better shot at meeting your maker than the Chicago Cubs allowing the White Sox to share their ballpark. I think they would rather see the White Sox move to New London, New Hampshire, and play at Colby Sawyer College's stadium down the street from me. Now, that'd be convenient, but I think they'd rather them here than they would in Chicago. Alex says, I did not linger long after those Yankees games. So Dan says, Dan would like you to know, Ryan, that your hat is perfect. Donna, go.
Thank you very much.
I want to flip the script here a little bit and ask you a question and put you center stage here and ask you what you think about the wall manipulation at Oriole Park at Camden Yards.
Oh, come on. I saw that. And when it was pushed back, I thought that they were beginning the process of building a club around Dan Ryan Unleash the Chaos. Knock it off. We're beginning the process of building around some left-handed power hitters, and they were going to build in their farm system right-handed hitters who could spray the ball a little bit in left and left center and run. And we talk about going overboard with the analytics. Elias he discussed this on MLB Network a few days ago, that his analytics show that they overcorrected the left field wall, and that bringing it in is allegedly supposed to balance either the offense or the ballpark better. As far as I'm concerned, make a decision, even if it's wrong. They're not bringing it in all the way, so to speak. They're only bringing it in. What was it, about half of what it was pushed back?
And they're changing the height again.
And I mean, more importantly, I also believe they are moving Mr. Splash again, which will be a problem. But Fenway Park, the dimensions of Fenway Park have not changed since I shouldn't say that. Have not changed since the 1940s, when they built the bullpens for Ted Williams. Other Anaheim's dimensions really haven't changed much over the years. The last time I saw somebody play with their fence like this, I wasn't even born yet. It was Kansas City with the porch that moved in right field in the late 50s, where Charlie Comiskey said, "Yeah, I'll show you." Make a decision. I think that they're going to have trouble garnering the stud pitcher they want, because I don't think it's a good look externally for pitchers. But I don't know. How did I do avoiding that question, huh?
I wonder now, like, when I haven't been there in a few years, and I haven't ventured out to that area to explore, like, when they move the wall back in again, are they adding seats? Is there going to be, like,
so that
what are they doing?
The diagram that I saw didn't add seats, but I'm not sure that diagram was finished. I don't. If you don't add seat, John Bartolek says no new seats. John, do you know anything about? Are they moving bullpens around or something with that, John?
No, I think it's. I saw the use that they planned for it, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But it was not like anything that would. It's certainly not a reason. They're definitely not adding seats. In fact, if any of you were at the SABR convention in Baltimore, the architect said, "We made a big mistake here. We put too many seats in. We need space for a lot of other things. We would never build or design a stadium like this again. This stadium that changed the model forever. Way too many seats," he said. So now it's dead space as far as I can recall.
Interesting.
Weird. That's like Candlestick years ago with the glass wall, and there's nothing behind it. I don't know. You know what? I'm an interior decorator. Some days I'm not even good at that. So Alex Stays would like us to know that they did clean the bathrooms in Fenway somewhere around the year 2000. Alec, you might be paid a visit by Mark Hoyle at some point.
Alex
Mark,
just getting
coming to your house to punch your nose. So if you come on camera with a black eye some week, I'm going to know that Mark flew out there and took care of you. What do you got to say there, Mark? I saw you turn your camera. I saw you turn your mic on.
No, again, I mean, it is kind of true, though.
You know.
Yeah.
Hey, Dixie, go save me.
Are there people in Baltimore, analytics people, with pads and pencils standing there figuring out how far each player hits a fly ball? Is that why this goes on?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
There's a lot of
is,
analytics in Baltimore. There's a ton of.
And this is not a counterpoint to Joe Ross, but a point. Tampa Bay feels a good team most of the time, a very good team sometime, and still nobody shows up. Maybe the franchise doesn't belong there.
Right. You know, it's flipping back to Tampa. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this club in the near future, let alone the distant, because they had their eye on moving to Montreal a couple of years. They were going to split time between the two cities. That was the dumbest thing in the history of mankind. And they even had a logo for it on the wall before Rob Manfred thankfully said, no. They can't go to Montreal because that building is closed for 3 years due to a roof renovation. They're putting a ton of money into the Olympic Stadium that I never knew they were doing. Nashville is a logical destination, but I don't know if that is truly open with Dave Stewart trying to buy a club and move it unless he gets interested in Tampa. I've heard rumblings that the Charlotte, North Carolina area was interested in the Devil Rays, or the Rays. I still call them the Devil Rays. They've been the Rays for a decade. But after that, I mean, I'm not sure where else they could go.
Maybe we'll find out if Rob Manfred is a real commissioner.
He's not. We know that.
We'll give him another try.
No, I mean, you know, the America loves a comeback story. Dan Mason. Okay, so Dan loves to give me a hard time in chat, and for my answer to Donna on the Orioles, his comment echoes of senators reading the phone book to filibuster, sir. Nicely done, Dan. I've been in retail over 22 years. I know how to dance around a question. I think I answered her though. I think I answered her. I don't know. You know, Stephen Myers says the Baltimore talk sounds like my Stratomatic teams where I change the stadium every year to fit my current teams. So obviously, Stephen, you are playing super advanced Stratomatic that I can't barely do. I've got plenty of Strat here. Steven, how long have you been playing Stratomatic? Flip that mic on, would you please? How long have you been playing Strat?
I've been playing, I stopped at some point, but I actually started with the game in about 1970. And really the turning point for the game was the 1971 cards where you had the two-sided, where you had the lefty righty. That was
when the advanced game came out,
which changed the game for the better.
Stratomatic was actually developed and tested by a young Hal Richman near me, relatively, at Lake Winnipesaukee here in New Hampshire. He would vacation there every year and bring these typewritten cards with him, and his friends that he had in the lake area would play, and that's how he developed the game. So I'm going out on a limb to claim Stratomatic as a New Hampshire invention because it was tested and worked out up here, whether we like the fact that it is marketed out of New York or not. So there. And John Bartolick is right. The biography of Hal Richman is a terrific read. That's available on Amazon. Doug Rubin in the chat. Brody Brazil has a good YouTube channel on the current dynamics of team, market, and stadium. Nashville may be currently a bit resentful that they are currently building a new stadium for their tight And Major League Baseball teams want counties and cities to build them palaces. So yeah, that could be that could be an issue there if they're dumping that much. Are they building new for the Titans? Doug, are you here? Can you turn your mic on?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are they building new or are they renovating that stadium?
I think they're building one across the street in the parking lot, with all the extra luxury, money, money, money.
Of course. I mean, money. I was kidding some folks around here today. The New England Collegiate Baseball League, their All-Star game will be played in White River Junction, Vermont this year. The Upper Valley Nighthawks are hosting it. And big money has entered collegiate baseball, folks. They're charging $10 admission. Joe Ross, go get them.
I got a couple of things. First of all, in talking about Baltimore moving the wall, the Red Sox have a much better idea. All they do is change the label. They haven't got it right yet, but I've heard of.
Wait a minute, I thought that was correct now.
Well, I think it was corrected partially, but not exactly where it really was. But then they put seats on top of it anyway, because when you come right down to it, they sell out. So now you add more seats, and what does that do? It increases revenue. And they're expensive seats too, I understand. But no, they don't move the wall. They just change the label. It's easy.
Well, paint is cheap. I mean,
yeah, it is cheaper too. The other thing I wanted to talk about, everybody in the group is making an assumption that I think is incorrect.
What's that?
You think that all these clubs have people who know how to pick talent. They obviously don't. Because we get a lot of people they pay a lot of money to, who then end up not doing anything. And the people who do go away. If you look at the draft and where people end up, obviously some people who are stars end up at the top, but more often than we'd like to admit, the really top stars ended up being picked in the second, third, fourth round. Tells you something about who's picking.
You might have a point, folks. You might have a point. Let's go to Molly. You're up.
Just going back to the Stratomatic, I have tried very hard to learn the game, and I'm interested. Bruce has been very patient with me. Often on snowy days when we're both home, when I'm not teaching remotely, we'll try and play a game or two, but admittedly, we know who the superior one is in that game.
I wish I had the time to take out the box more, but go ahead, Molly. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, definitely interesting. It's just I wasn't exposed as a kid like Bruce was, so it's definitely a learning curve, but it's definitely an interesting game.
Molly says I'm patient with her. There is not one person in this chapter who will deny the fact that poor woman is my long-suffering wife. Mark, what's going on? Mark's been taking a few shots about the Red Sox tonight. Let's get him in
here tonight.
So what's going on, man?
It's funny that you just mentioned collegiate baseball, because I was going to ask who in this crowd here is familiar with the Cape Cod League.
Guilty.
And how many? I probably go to about 10 to 20 games a year. I can get to the field in one night, watch a game, and drive home. So I also know there's a few card collectors here. I know Donner, and I see Ryan with the REA catalogs behind him, so he's guilty as charged. I'm a Red Sox.
I have a modest collection, by the way, Mark. So
I am a Red Sox collector, but it's few and far between the cards I need. So just last week I decided to do this crazy thing. I want to get a card for every guy that played in the Cape League that also played in the major leagues. And it's a daunting task. I probably have 600 different ones right now, but just to get a list, it's pretty tough. You got to dig through these old programs. Some guys have only played a handful of games. Other guys played for 2 years. So, and it's a challenge that's never going to end because they keep adding new guys every year. So, but it's a fun challenge. So that's my project now for the winter. to keep
Mark,
adding to this.
Do you know Mike Richard?
Yes, I do.
Okay, because I can't remember. I was in a Zoom with him recently, and he was talking about Hall of Famers, former players, and I want to try and get him on for Elysian Fields to talk. But do you have the master list?
Well, I've looked at numerous different. If you look in this book, this just tells me there was 388 active players in Major League Baseball this year that played in the Cape League.
Wow.
I have some other lists that I thought were complete, and then I open up another tab and I find other guys that played a handful of games here or there.
Wow.
The problem is, like this year, Harwich won it. They came in third place in their half of the league, in their division. As soon as the draft happens and all these guys get drafted, they all bolt. So you have to redo your roster. So Harwich kept a lot of their guys. The top teams left, and Harwich ended up winning it. Which I went to the final game. There was probably 6,000 people there. It was pretty impressive.
Wow.
It was great baseball.
Oh, so they leave in the middle of the season because the draft is like late June or something, and they just said
right after the draft. If they get drafted and they're going to sign, they just take off. And there's nothing to stop these guys if they get homesick or they just want to leave. They just go. And the way these teams are built is just through different connections that the coaches have with certain college teams. So you could go to Chatham and you'll see they have a lot of guys that are from LSU or, it's just whatever connections they have. And that's how you build your team. It's not like anybody's assigned to a certain team. So it's like the old days when there's no draft. You just pick who you want to pick.
Yep.
Sorry.
Go
ahead, Dan. No, you go, Dan. It's fine.
Having had a Cape League background, everybody familiar with the Park and Bourne at Upper Cape Tech?
That's where the finals were this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I was one of the people who built that.
Oh, nice.
I was on the board when we made that decision 7-2 to move there. Before I became a scout, I was on their board. I was secretary and vice president. What I can do is I'm pretty sure what happens with that list every year is when I was there, John Garner was running media. I'm not sure if he still is or not, but they just stick a bunch of interns on it because it's a really good research project for them to do. And, it's fluid. That list changes in the middle of the year, just like the rosters do.
Yeah.
As for the roster building end of it on the Cape League, what I can tell you is that it is heavily guided with scout input. Heavily. There are a lot of stories I know about. I've gotten calls from 6 college coaches trying to get worthy guys into the Cape League at the last minute. So it's tough on that end too. I know Bourne has a deal with Newport. At least when Darren was the general manager, he would literally call guys up from Newport in the NECBL, 2 or 3 of them to fill out the roster to cover the guys leaving. So I hope that input helps.
Yeah. I'm going to keep going for it. This is a project that will never end. So.
What I was going to say was I love how, as collectors, when we can't feed the need as often as we'd like, we find another lane.
That's true.
And I just love that about collecting, right? There's no rules. So you just do whatever you want, and that's how it morphs and it morphs and it morphs and it morphs. And I just think that's awesome. So I'm really excited to hear you have a new project.
Yes.
Let's talk a little free agency for a minute before we end for the night, and we'll take a little poll because we all know the big name out there, Juan Soto. Where do we think he's going to land, and what does the contract look like? I'm going to go right down my list of participants here. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. Just if you don't want to participate, you can pass. Mark Hoyle, where do you think Soto's going to land?
I hope it's not LA. Maybe the Mets.
How long?
How long?
Yeah, how long? What do you think the contract's going to be?
Oh, I mean, I think they're going to have to give him 8 to 10 years with a ton of dough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Dixie, what do you think?
I don't think even Los Angeles has that much money. I would love to see him go to the Mets. That would be fun.
Greg Fagley, where do you think Juan Soto's going to land?
You know, Juan is hard to predict. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed he would have ever chosen to go to San Diego.
He was traded there.
I mean, he was. It seemed like such a good fit with the Yankees, with him and Judge, and they seem to have a really good year. They really seem to have fun playing together. But I also wonder. I mean, I do think Soto is going to go with whoever. I don't know. I started to say he's going to go with whoever pays him the most. And I think the Mets have shown that they are willing to spend more than anyone else. So I think it's probably going to be one of the two New York teams. And then again, it's going to take a lot of years and a lot of money.
Stephen Meyerson in the chat, 12 years for $600 million. No present value discount because he is 26 years old. That's a very interesting statement right there. Who else would like to chime in? I want to hear Alex Stays' thoughts on this matter. Alec, where do you think Soto winds up?
Yeah, I would agree with the prior speaker. You know, the Mets, Bruce, I think the Mets have the most cash, and they'll spend it. So I would say like 10,600. So pretty close to what Steven just dropped in the chat, but he will get what he wants. It'll be interesting regardless. I mean, people are talking about the Phillies and head fake with the Red Sox, head fake with the Blue Jays, but probably New York, I would agree, one way or the other.
Ryan McClanahan in the chat. I don't even know if I should say this. You know what? I'm going to put this on record so that it's out there forever on YouTube if this works out. Ryan McClanahan believes Soto's going to the White Sox and Emil Fuchs Babe Ruth deal. Come on. I love it. Donna Muscarella, the Mets not only the most cash, but also an advantage because Soto already knows the city. Alex Stays, Soto to the Sukeforth chapter. $1 a year for 6 million years. This is going off the rails. Doug, save me. Help me. Where do you think Juan Soto's going?
I have no idea, obviously, but I mean, aren't there other team, hopeful free agents that are quite good that aren't the Soto level or a little older? I almost see there aren't that many teams out there that can spend $100 million additional on their payroll this year, it seems, because the Twins, the White Sox, a bunch of teams, the RSN money is sort of going away. Someone's going to obviously get Soto, but it almost might be better to not have Soto and be able to spend $150, $200 million on a collection of other players. But I could be wrong, of course.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute because the Red Sox have shown strong interest in Willy Adames, along with 2 of the 3 of the following names: Corbin Burns, Blake Snell, or Max Fried. They're allegedly in on all 3 pitchers and want 2 of them, and in on Willie as well. And after last year's full throttle comment, look what they did. I think this year they said they were all in, was the comment they made. So I'm going to be real interested to see if they actually pull the trigger on any of this. And they were in on Soto too, because they had what they called productive conversations with him. But is that too many eggs in one basket? And I'm going to ask somebody in a minute their thoughts on the matter. But first, I'm going to go to Gary Joquin. Gary, what do you got?
I have nothing to add on the Soto discussion except a question.
Go.
What are the odds? Are they greater than 0 that he accepts a contract like Ohtani did with a lot of deferred payments?
Ooh, that's a good question. I wonder what I guess the motivation for Ohtani taking a contract like that was to build an extended long-term winner in LA. I might be wrong. I don't know. But I would think that if Soto wants the same type of money or more, he's going to have to build a contract that has a ton of deferred money like Ohtani's. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I can't imagine a club saying, I'm going to give you $75 million a year to play. And oh, look who just raised her hand, the woman I was going to go to and ask her opinion on the matter. Thank God she saved me again. Donna Muscarella, what's your thoughts right now?
What I want to know is, with the talk about Soto is going to want to have an opt-out built in every 3 to 4 years, right? If you bring in,
that's ridiculous,
the very interesting dynamic of the deferred compensation, how do those two work together?
They don't, as far as I'm concerned.
Right?
You're either going to opt out or you're going to defer money. And I mean, there's no opt-outs in Ohtani's contract.
No.
No,
I'm
he's
saying
there.
In the context of Soto. I mean, the whole idea of the opt-outs drives me mad. Then just sign a 4-year deal. If you, right? Yes. I mean, you're basically,
yes.
I mean, but I hate to bring this name up, but this was a conversation at the dinner table the other night anyway, here. Alex Rodriguez is to blame for that, because A-Rod did it. He did it in the middle of the World Series, which was doubly insulting. And then the Yankees bit and they re-signed him. The Yankees should have just walked for a gazillion different reasons, and there wouldn't be any discussions about opt-outs anymore.
Yep. That's right. Dan Mason in the chat, the greatest day of each baseball season remains Bobby Bonilla Day, when he gets his 1 million plus deferred. Yes. And every year on July 1st, we wish each other a happy Bobby Bonilla Day to all those who celebrate. Ohtani is older than Soto, Stephen Meyer says, and has been injured. Agent Boris will not accept a deferral with several teams bidding. Boris has fallen on his face a little bit over the past couple of years, and I think he's going to have to be a little more flexible moving forward, especially with Soto and the money that he thinks that Soto is going to command. Because I don't know how any club can build around somebody who wants, and this is an arbitrary figure, I know, but I'll put it this way, more than $60 million a year. I don't know how that works, even with today's financials. Greg, you're up.
I just have a question, because I haven't read anything about this recently. How is the the Red Sox manager situation? Is that settled? Is Alex Cora?
Cora was re-signed for 3 years, I believe. Mark, help me out here. Was it 3 years? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's got a new 3-year contract.
I figured something, because nobody's talked about it, so I figured that must have happened. I didn't hear that.
Joe Ross.
Bruce, you are absolutely wrong.
Okay, well, it won't be the first time. What are you talking about?
Earlier, you were talking about the deferred compensation, and because they don't want that much every year. It's a very simple reason to defer $100 million or whatever, 2 or 3 or 4 million, 100 million, because by the time he gets it, he won't be living in the United States, and it will not be taxable. Therefore, if it's not taxable, guess what? He just made 30% more or more by having it deferred.
That's very interesting. So money he brings back to Japan is not taxable there?
Who pays taxes here? You pay taxes because you live here. If you move to Japan, how are they going to collect taxes?
Well, I'm wondering if he would be taxed in Japan.
He might be, but I'll bet you nobody taxes at the extent that the U.S. does.
He's got a point.
But Joe, how is that different from, like, if you live in, which is common here, if you live in New Jersey and work in New York, you have to pay New York taxes.
But what'll happen is they'll stop working in New York. They'll move to somewhere else. How is New York going to collect it? If I move to Hawaii,
it comes out of your
New York's
paycheck.
Pardon me?
It comes out of your paycheck before you get paid.
No, not really. What they're going to do is they're going to buy an annuity. The annuity will pay directly to the player. Nobody's going to write a payroll check every year. They're going to do what the big lottery people do. They buy an annuity. The annuity pays yearly whatever they pay, and that's how they get away with it.
But an annuity is still income.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you don't work here anymore. Let's face it, they have.
I know there was controversy years ago about.
They have enough money to pay some really high-powered lawyers to figure out how to avoid the majority of the taxes.
There are creative accountants out there, that's for sure. I know that there was years ago where we would talk about free agents not wanting to go to places because they would have to pay more in tax based on where they live versus what states they play in. That's way above my pay grade.
NBA players ran into that a couple of years ago because one state, and I think it was New York, wanted to tax every player for the time they spent playing in New York, even though they didn't play for New York. So, of course, what happened is all the New York players said, fine, we won't pay New York taxes when we play in Boston. So they dropped it because of that, because the players are smarter than they are, which, of course, is not hard to be anyway.
Joe has a unique take on players, management, and the state of sports today. I would think that that is evident to all those who enjoy his hospitality.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, this has been a pretty good round robin discussion of an awful lot of topics within our great game. And we're going to be back next week, Monday, December 2nd, with Herb Krabenhoft and his Saber 52 presentation, The Pitcher's Cycle, Definition and Achievers from 1893 to 2023. You'll regret missing this one, so don't forget to sign up. The link is in the chapter meeting booklet that is sent out each Monday, and it's also available on the Saber events calendar at saber.org/events. And finally, if you're a baseball fan watching on YouTube and you like what you see, please like this video and subscribe to our channel to be alerted to all of our uploads. And if you're not yet a member, you need to join the Society for American Baseball Research, the premier baseball community. Offering an amazing baseball buffet of options to explore your fandom, Saber boasts more than 35 different research committees, over 80 regional chapters, and innumerable opportunities to connect with baseball minds across the world. For more information, go to saber.org/join today. Alan Holst, we're going to get you back here. We're going to get our technical difficulties ironed out, and we will have you back in an upcoming meeting. And we want to thank you for hanging around this tonight and enjoy our round robin discussion. And to everybody out there on YouTube and in our meeting right now, I want to thank you for stopping by each week. We love you to death. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And we're going to see you next week. Eat a lot of turkey.
Save room for pie.
Save room for pie. Why not? Watch a little football. I know we're a baseball organization. Watch a little football. It's okay. We're going to see you next week. Have a good night, everybody.